On a gray morning in Ashford, Kent, on September 3, 2024, Zara Khan stood in the kitchen of her terraced house on Willow Lane, slicing onions for a chicken korma. At 38, Zara was a part-time pharmacy assistant, her hijab neatly pinned, her hands steady despite the fatigue etched into her face. The house, a narrow two-bedroom she and her husband Amir had bought 5 years ago, smelled of spices and damp, its walls adorned with photos of their kids Aisha, 14, and Bilal, 10. Ashford, a market town of 30,000, was a place of brick semis, busy roundabouts, and a quiet pride in its history. For Zara's family, British Pakistanis who'd moved from London for a better life, it was a home that never quite felt theirs. Zara's mind was on the letter they'd found yesterday, slipped under the front door. "Pakis, go home." The words, scrawled in black pen on lined paper, had shaken her, though she hadn't told the kids. Amir, 40, a delivery driver for a local supermarket, had crumpled it, his face tight. "Just kids," he'd said, tossing it in the bin. "Don't let it get to you." But Zara couldn't shake it. It wasn't the first. 6 months ago, a similar note had appeared, and last year someone had scratched Muzzy on their car. Each was a needle, piercing the life they'd built since leaving London's noise for Ashford's promise. The Khans had faced their share of slights in Ashford. At the pharmacy, customers sometimes asked Zara if she really understood their prescriptions, their eyes lingering on her hijab. At Bilal's school, a teacher had once suggested he tone down his Pakistani accent, though he'd been born in Kent. Aisha, bright and headstrong, had come home last term saying a classmate, Ali Reed, called her curry breath in the lunch queue. Zara had taught her kids to keep their heads high, to answer hate with work, but the notes, the scratches, the whispers, they were piling up, a weight she carried alone. As Zara stirred the korma, the doorbell rang. She wiped her hands, expecting Amir back from his early shift, but it was Mrs. Linda Hughes, their next-door neighbor, a white woman in her 60s with a perm and a penchant for gossip. "Morning, love," Linda said, holding a parcel. "This came to mind by mistake." Zara took the package, a book Aisha had ordered, smiling tightly. "Thanks, Linda." Linda lingered, her eyes flicking to the kitchen. "Smells strong in there," she said, her tone light but pointed. "You ever try shepherd's pie? Might fit in better around here." Zara's smile froze. "We like our food," she said, her voice polite but firm. Linda nodded, unbothered, and left. Zara closed the door, her hands trembling. It wasn't the first time Linda had made such comments. Last month, she'd suggested Zara's prayer rug might scare the postman. Amir had laughed it off, saying Linda was just old, but Zara felt the sting. Fit in better meant erase yourself, and she was tired of it. That afternoon, Zara walked to the pharmacy for her shift, her scarf catching the autumn breeze. Ashford's high street was busy, shoppers weaving past charity shops and cafes. At the pharmacy, her manager, Claire Baxter, a white woman in her 50s, greeted her with a curt nod. Claire was fair but distant, quick to praise Zara's work but slow to promote her despite her qualifications. Last week, a new assistant, Sophie, a white 22-year-old with no experience, had been given the lead shift Zara had applied for. "She's a better fit," Claire had said, avoiding Zara's eyes. Zara swallowed it, needing the job, but the rejection burned. During her break, Zara checked her phone and saw a message from Aisha. "Ali threw my lunch in the bin, said it stinks. I hate school." Zara's heart sank. She texted back, "I'm so sorry, love, we'll talk tonight." "You're strong," but her fingers shook as she typed. Aisha was crumbling and Zara felt powerless. She wanted to march to the school, confront Ali's parents, but Amir's voice echoed, "Don't make waves." Waves could cost them, jobs, neighbors, the fragile peace of Willow Lane. That evening, Zara told Amir about Aisha's message as they ate dinner, the kids upstairs doing homework. Amir's fork paused, his face darkening. "I'll talk to her teacher," he said, his voice low. "But Zara, we can't fight every kid. They'll grow out of it." Zara's eyes stung. "It's not just kids, Amir. It's the notes, Linda Claire. It's this town." She pulled the crumpled letter from her bag, saved from the bin. "This isn't growing out of it." Amir sighed, rubbing his temples. "What do we do? Move again? We can't afford it. The shop's barely paying and your job's steady." He took her hand, his grip firm. "We're tougher than this. We'll handle it quietly." Zara nodded, but her chest tightened. Quietly meant swallowing it, and she wasn't sure how much more she could take. On September 4th, the trouble deepened. Zara woke to find their front gate smeared with dog feces, the smell sharp in the morning air. Bilal, heading to school, saw it first, his face crumpling. "Why do they hate us, Mom?" he asked, his voice small. Zara's heart broke. "It's not hate, love," she lied, cleaning it up. "Just a prank." But as she scrubbed, she saw Linda watching from her window, her face unreadable. Zara's anger flared. Linda hadn't said anything, but her silence felt complicit. At the pharmacy, Zara overheard Sophie gossiping with a customer about those people on Willow Lane, her voice low but clear. "Always causing a fuss," Sophie said, glancing at Zara. Claire, nearby, said nothing. Zara's hands shook as she sorted prescriptions, her silence a shield. She wanted to snap back, to quit, but the mortgage, the kids, she needed this job. Instead, she texted Amir. "Another note might come, check the door." He replied, "On it. Stay strong." That night, Zara sat Aisha down. "What happened with Ali?" she asked, her voice gentle. Aisha's eyes welled up. "He said I don't belong, that I should go back to Pakistan." Everyone laughed. Zara hugged her own tears falling. "You belong, Aisha, more than them." She didn't tell her about the gate, the notes, the whispers. Aisha was carrying enough. On September 5th, Amir met with Aisha's teacher, Mr. Paul Evans, a white man in his 40s with a tired smile. "Ali's a good lad," Paul said, leaning back in his chair. "Just banter. I'll have a word, but let's not escalate." Amir's jaw tightened. "Banter? My daughter's hurting." Paul nodded, but his eyes said it was already forgotten. Amir left, his hands clenched, knowing the school wouldn't act. When Amir got home, he found another note under the door. "Get out or else." The handwriting matched the first, and Zara's hands shook as she bagged it, hiding it from the kids. "We can't keep ignoring this," she whispered. Amir nodded, his face grim. "I'll talk to the police, but no fuss. We handle this ourselves." Zara agreed, but fear gnawed at her. Ashford's quiet streets were a lie, and their home was a battlefield, one they'd fight in silence. On September 6, 2024, Zara Khan woke before dawn in her terraced house on Willow Lane, Ashford, Kent, the weight of the latest note, "Get out or else," heavy in her chest. The paper, hidden in a drawer away from Aisha, 14, and Bilal, 10, was the third in a year, each one a sharper cut into the life she and Amir had built. Zara, 38, stood at the kitchen sink, staring at the backyard where their washing line sagged under a gray sky. The dog feces smeared on their gate 2 days ago still lingered in her mind, a violation she'd scrubbed away while Bilal's question, "Why do they hate us?" echoed. She hadn't told him the truth. She couldn't. Amir, 40, was already out, his delivery van rumbling through Ashford's early streets. He'd gone to the police station yesterday, showing Constable Emma Price the note and mentioning the gate. Emma, a white woman in her 30s with a clipped tone, had taken a report but offered little hope. "No witnesses, no CCTV, she'd said, sliding the note into a plastic bag. "Could be kids, could be a one-off. Keep us posted if it happens again." Amir had nodded, his jaw tight, knowing posted meant nothing. The police wouldn't patrol Willow Lane for a note, and pressing harder risked drawing attention, something they couldn't afford in a town where whispers traveled fast. Zara dressed for her pharmacy shift, pinning her hijab with care, her hands steadier than her heart. Ashford's morning was damp, the air thick with the promise of rain. At the pharmacy, her manager, Claire Baxter, was sorting stock, her greeting curt as always. Sophie, the new assistant, chatted loudly with a customer, her eyes flicking to Zara as she passed. "Some people don't know their place," Sophie said, her voice just loud enough to carry. The customer, an older white man, chuckled, and Claire, nearby, stayed silent. Zara's face burned, but she kept sorting prescriptions, her silence a shield. She'd heard worse. Last week, a patient had asked if she was qualified to handle his medication, his tone heavy with doubt. Each slight was a pebble, piling into a mountain she couldn't climb. During her break, Zara checked her phone in the stockroom, away from Sophie's stares. Amir had texted, "No notes today, talk to Aisha's teacher again, no help." Zara's stomach sank. Amir had confronted Mr. Paul Evans about Ali Reed's bullying, throwing Aisha's lunch, calling her curry breath. But Paul's response was the same. "Just kids. We'll monitor." Monitor meant ignore, and Aisha was paying the price, her spark dimming with each school day. Zara typed back, "We need to do something, she's hurting." But what? Confronting Ali's parents risked escalation, and moving schools wasn't an option. Their budget was stretched thin, the mortgage a constant shadow. That afternoon, Zara noticed a new problem. The pharmacy's roster, pinned to the break room wall, had her shifts cut, 3 days next week instead of 5. Sophie, meanwhile, had 6. Zara approached Claire, her voice calm but firm. Why the change? I've never missed a shift. Claire's eyes flicked away. Budget cuts, she said, her tone flat. Sophie's flexible and customers like her. The word like hung heavy, a code Zara understood. She wanted to argue, to point out her qualifications, her years of service, but Claire's closed expression stopped her. She needed this job, even if it meant swallowing another slight. At home, Zara found Bilal in the living room, his eyes red. Someone broke my model plane, he said, holding the shattered pieces of a Spitfire he'd spent weeks building. It was in my bag at school. Zara's heart twisted. Who, love? She asked, kneeling beside him. Bilal shrugged, his voice small. Dunno. But Ali was laughing. Zara hugged him, her anger a quiet flame. Ali again, his cruelty spreading from Aisha to Bilal. She wanted to storm to his house, demand answers, but Amir's warning, no waves, held her back. Waves could drown them. That evening, Amir returned, his face drawn from a 12-hour shift. Zara told him about Bilal's plane and her cut shifts. It's not random, she said, her voice low to avoid the kids. Claire's punishing me. Sophie's been talking and the customers, they don't want me. Amir's hands clenched. We'll manage, he said, but his voice was strained. I'll pick up extra deliveries, but Zara, we can't fight the whole town. The notes, the gate, it's too much. He pulled out the bagged note, still unaddressed by the police. Maybe we should move. Zara's eyes stung. Move where, Amir? We sank everything into this house. The kids need stability. She thought of Aisha's tears, Bilal's broken plane, the notes. Moving felt like defeat, but staying was a slow bleed. Let's talk to Linda, she said finally. She's seen things. Maybe she knows who's doing this. Amir hesitated, then nodded. Quietly, no fuss. On September 7th, Zara knocked on Linda Hughes's door, her stomach tight. Linda answered, her perm pristine, her smile thin. Zara, what's up? She said, her tone overly bright. Zara kept her voice soft. We've had trouble. Notes, stuff on our gate. Have you seen anything odd? Linda's eyes flicked to the street, then back. Notes? That's awful. No, haven't seen a thing. Probably kids. You know how they are. Her voice was too quick, her hands twisting her apron. Zara's gut said Linda was lying, but she nodded. Thanks anyway. As she left, she saw Linda's husband, Ron, watching from their car, his face unreadable. That night, Zara and Amir sat in their bedroom, the kids asleep. Linda knows something, Zara whispered. She's too nervous. Amir sighed. Maybe, but we can't accuse her. Ron's mates with half the street. We'd lose everyone. He pulled out a new note, found under the van's wiper that morning. Last chance. The handwriting matched, and Zara's hands shook. We need cameras, she said. Something to catch them. Amir nodded, but his eyes were heavy. Cameras cost money they didn't have, and the police wouldn't care without proof. On September 8th, the harassment escalated. Zara found their bins overturned, rubbish strewn across the front path, with Paki scratched into the plastic. Bilal, helping her clean, didn't ask questions, but his silence broke her. At the pharmacy, Sophie accidentally spilled coffee on Zara's workstation, smirking as she apologized. Claire, watching, said nothing. Zara's anger boiled, but she mopped it up, her silence a cage. She texted Amir, "It's getting worse, we can't keep pretending." He replied, "I'm checking for cameras. Hold on." That evening, Zara noticed Linda's curtains twitch as she swept the path. Ron's car was gone, but a bike, Ollie's, she recognized the red frame, leaned against their gate. Her heart raced. Was Ollie the one leaving notes? She wanted to confront him, but Aisha's voice stopped her. Everyone laughed. Confronting Ollie meant exposing Aisha to more cruelty. Instead, Zara took a photo of the bike, her hands steady. Evidence, she thought. They'd fight this, but quietly as always. On September 9th, 2024, Zara Khan stood in the dim light of her terraced house on Willow Lane, Ashford, Kent, watching Amir install a small security camera above their front door. The device, a budget model they'd scraped together 120 pounds to buy, hummed softly, its red light blinking like a wary eye. Zara, 38, clutched a mug of tea, her hijab loose after a long day, her nerves frayed by the latest note. Last chance. And the overturned bins with Paki scratched into them. The harassment, a steady drip of hate, was eroding the home she and Amir, 40, had built for Aisha, 14, and Bilal, 10. Ashford's quiet streets hid a venom that Zara felt in her bones, but she kept it from the kids, her silence a shield she wasn't sure she could hold. Amir, his delivery driver's jacket still on, tested the camera's app on his phone, the grainy feed showing their front path. It's recording, he said, his voice low to avoid waking Aisha and Bilal. If they come again, we'll have proof. His eyes, shadowed from extra shifts to cover the camera's cost, met Zara's. We're not running, Zara. This is our home. She nodded, but her chest tightened. Proof meant confronting someone. Linda Hughes, Ollie Reed, or worse, and confrontation risked everything: their jobs, the kids' safety, their fragile place in Willow Lane. The past few days had been a slow bleed. At the pharmacy, Zara's shifts remained cut. Sophie's smirks and Claire's silence, a daily grind. Aisha came home quieter, her lunch untouched since Ollie's bullying, throwing her food, calling her curry breath, went unpunished by the school. Bilal, still mourning his broken model plane, clung to Zara more, his questions about why people are mean unanswered. The police, despite Amir's second visit with the last chance note, offered nothing new. Constable Emma Price had added it to the file, saying, "We're overstretched. Unless you've got a name, it's hard to act." Amir hadn't mentioned the camera, wary of drawing attention, but Zara wondered if silence was digging their grave. On September 10th, the camera caught something. Zara, checking the app during her pharmacy break, saw footage from 2 a.m., a figure in a hoodie, face obscured, spraying paint on their gate. The word wasn't clear, but the act was deliberate, the figure glancing at Linda's house before vanishing. Zara's heart raced. She sent the clip to Amir, her hands shaking. "It's them," she texted. "Linda's involved." Amir replied, "Don't jump to it. I'll check tonight. Stay calm." But calm was a luxury Zara couldn't afford. She pictured Linda's nervous eyes, Ron's stare, Ollie's bike by their gate. The pieces fit, but accusing a neighbor without proof could ruin them. At home, Zara noticed Aisha sketching in her room, her face drawn. "You okay, love?" Zara asked, sitting beside her. Aisha's pencil paused. Ollie's friend Mia said, "I'm why people hate foreigners." "I didn't even do anything." Her voice cracked, and Zara pulled her close, her own anger a knot. "You're perfect, Aisha. They're wrong." But the words felt hollow. She wanted to confront Mia, Ollie, the school, but Amir's caution, "no waves," stopped her. Waves could cost Aisha more than tears. That evening, Amir reviewed the footage, his face grim. "It's a kid," he said, zooming in on the hoodie's logo. "A local football club. Could be Ollie or his mates, but Linda's window was lit. She saw something." Zara's pulse quickened. "We need to talk to her again. She's lying." Amir shook his head. "Not yet. If it's her family, they'll turn the street against us. Let's wait for more." Zara's frustration boiled. Waiting meant more notes, more pain. But Amir's logic held. They couldn't afford to lose Willow Lane. On September 11th, the harassment sharpened. Zara found their front door scratched, deep gouges spelling "go." Bilal saw it, his eyes wide. "Mom, is it the same people?" Zara forced a smile, ushering him inside. "Just vandals, love. We're fixing it." But her hands shook as she sanded the marks, Linda's curtains twitching across the fence. Amir, home late, checked the camera. No clear footage, the figure too quick. "I'm calling Emma tomorrow," he said, his voice tight. "This is enough." Zara nodded, but doubt gnawed at her. The police hadn't helped before, why would they now? At the pharmacy, Sophie's hostility grew. She forgot to log Zara's hours, forcing Zara to stay late to fix it. Claire, catching them, sided with Sophie. "Be more careful, Zara." The rebuke stung, but Zara swallowed it, her job a lifeline she couldn't lose. On her walk home, she saw Ollie and 2 boys on bikes near Willow Lane, their laughter sharp. One, wearing a hoodie like the camera's figure, stared at her, his eyes cold. Zara's heart pounded. She snapped a photo, her hand steady, and sent it to Amir. "That's him," she texted. Amir replied, "I'll handle it. Don't engage." That night, Amir confronted the idea of approaching Ollie's parents, the Reeds, who lived 3 doors down. "If it's him, we talk, not accuse," he said, his voice low. "But Zara, they're tight with Ron and Linda. We could lose the whole street." Zara's eyes burned. "We're already losing it. Aisha's scared, Bilal's breaking. We can't keep cleaning up their hate." Amir took her hand, his grip firm. "We'll get proof, then we act. I promise." On September 12th, proof came. The camera caught clear footage at 1 a.m. Ollie, unmistakable in his red hoodie, scrawling "Packy" on their bins with a marker. Linda's porch light was on, her silhouette visible. Zara's breath caught as she watched with Amir, the kids asleep. "It's him," she whispered, "and she's watching." Amir's face hardened. "I'm going to the police tomorrow. We've got him." But Zara's fear surged. What if they protect him? He's a kid, they're locals. "We're not." Amir's jaw tightened. "We're locals too. This ends. On September 13th, Amir took the footage to Constable Emma Price. She watched it, her face unreadable. "It's compelling," she said, copying the file. "Ollie's a minor, so we'll tread carefully, but I'll visit the reads. Keep your camera on." Amir nodded, but Emma's caution felt like a wall. Back home, Zara noticed Linda avoiding her usual chatter gone. Ron's car lingered in their drive, his eyes on their house. Aisha came home early, her face pale. "Ollie knows I told," she said. "He said I'll regret it." Zara's heart stopped. She hugged Aisha, her voice fierce. "You're safe, love. We're handling it." That evening, the bins were untouched, the door unscratched, but a new note appeared under the mat. "You'll pay." The handwriting was shakier, but it matched. Zara's hands trembled as she bagged it, her silence cracking. Amir's promise, proof, action felt closer, but so did the cost. They were fighting a shadow, and Willow Lane was watching, waiting for them to break. On September 14th, 2024, Zara Khan sat at the kitchen table of her terraced house on Willow Lane, Ashford, Kent, her hands wrapped around a cold mug of tea. The security camera's footage, capturing Ollie Reed scrawling "Packy" on their bins at 1 a.m., played on Amir's phone, its grainy truth a knife in her chest. The notes, "Packus go home," "Get out or else," "Last chance, you'll pay," piled in a drawer, each one a wound in the home Zara, 38, and Amir, 40, had built for Aisha, 14, and Bilal, 10. Ashford's quiet streets hid a poison. Dog feces on their gate, scratches on their door, bullying at school that threatened to break them. But Zara's silence, her shield against the hate, was cracking, and the latest note, found yesterday, had pushed them to act. Amir had taken the footage to Constable Emma Price on September 13th, his voice steady as he showed Ollie's face. Emma's eyes narrowed, but her tone was cautious. "He's 14, she said, saving the file. "We'll talk to his parents, but it's a juvenile matter. Don't expect charges." Amir's jaw tightened. "He's terrorizing my kids. We've got proof." Emma nodded, promising a visit to the Reeds, but her words felt hollow. Zara, watching Amir recount it now, felt dread. The Reeds, Mark and Julie, 3 doors down, were tight with Linda and Ron Hughes, their neighbors whose porch light had framed Ollie's crime. Confronting them risked turning Willow Lane into a battlefield, but doing nothing was choking them. At the pharmacy, Zara's world shrank further. On September 15th, Claire Baxter called her into the office, her face stern. "Zara, customers have complained," she said, avoiding eye contact. "They say you're unfriendly. I'm cutting you to 2 shifts a week." Zara's heart sank. "Unfriendly? I've been here 5 years, Claire. Who complained?" Claire's lips thinned. "It's confidential. Sophie's taking the lead role. She's a better fit." The word "fit" was a slap, and Zara knew Sophie's smirks were behind it. She wanted to fight, to list her qualifications, but the mortgage, the camera's cost, Bilal's school fees. She nodded, her silence a cage, and left the office, her hands shaking. At home, Aisha was quieter, her sketchbook untouched since Ollie's threat. "You'll regret telling." Bilal, clutching a new model plane, flinched at noises, his question, "Are they coming back?" unanswered. Zara's chest ached. She'd shielded them from the notes, the gate, the bins, but their fear mirrored hers. Amir, home late from deliveries, found another scratch on their van, Muzzy, and his calm cracked. "I'm going to the Reeds," he said, his voice low. Zara grabbed his arm. "Not yet. If it's them, they'll twist it. Wait for Emma." Amir's eyes burned. "Wait for what? They're breaking us, Zara." On September 16th, Emma called. "We spoke to the Reeds," she said. "Ollie admits to the bins, says it was a dare. His parents are handling it. No charges, but we've warned him." Amir's voice rose. "A warning? He's been at it for months. Notes, my daughter's lunch, my son's plane." Emma's tone hardened. "He's a minor, Mr. Khan. We've done what we can. Keep your camera on." The call ended, and Zara's hope withered. The Reeds' handling meant nothing. Ollie's bike was back by their gate that afternoon, his smirk bold as he rode past. That night, Zara and Amir watched new footage. 3 a.m. A figure, not Ollie, taller in a dark jacket, tossing a brick through their backyard window. Glass shards glittered on the grass, and Bilal's scream woke them. "It's them!" he cried, clinging to Zara. Aisha, pale, whispered, "I'm scared, Mom." Zara's heart shattered, but she soothed them, her voice steady despite her fear. The figure's jacket matched Ron Hughes's, seen in his driveway. "It's him," Zara said to Amir, her voice shaking. "Linda's covering for Ollie and Ron's helping." Amir nodded, his face stone. "Tomorrow I talk to them. No more waiting." On September 17th, Amir knocked on the Hughes' door, Zara beside him, their hands clasped. Linda answered, her perm wilting, her eyes darting. "What's this about?" she said, her voice high. Amir held up his phone, showing the brick footage. "This was Ron, Linda, and you saw Ali on our bins. Stop lying." Linda's face paled, but Ron appeared, his bulk filling the doorway. "You accusing us?" he growled. "Watch yourself, mate. This street doesn't need your kind." The word kind was a blade, and Zara's anger flared. "We're not going anywhere," she said, her voice fierce. "You're hurting our kids." "Stop, or the police get this." Ron's eyes narrowed, but Linda grabbed his arm. "We didn't do nothing," she stammered. "Ollie's just a boy." Amir's voice was ice. "Tell him to stay away. Tell Ron to stop. Or this goes further." They left, Ron's stare burning their backs, but no note came that night. No scratches, no bins. Zara's pulse raced. She'd faced them, but the victory felt fragile. On September 18th, Claire called Zara back to 5 shifts, her tone curt. "Sophie's not working out." Zara knew it was no apology, but it was a win, small and sharp. At school, Aisha reported Ali avoiding her, his friends quieter, though Mia's glares lingered. Bilal's new plane stayed intact, his smile tentative. The camera caught nothing, but Zara felt eyes, Linda's, Ron's, the streets, watching. Amir reinforced the window, his hands steady but his eyes tired. "We're holding," he said, hugging Zara. "We're enough." On September 19th, a final note arrived, slipped under the door. "Sorry." The handwriting was Ali's, shaky and small. Zara and Amir stared at it, their breath caught. Was it real? A trick? They bagged it, but didn't call Emma. The Reed's house was quiet, Linda's curtains still, Ron's car gone. Aisha came home with a drawing, a family under a willow tree labeled us. "For you, Mum," she said, her eyes brighter. Bilal joined, his plane in hand, and they taped it to the fridge, a fragile anchor. That evening, Zara stood in her backyard, the repaired window glinting under the stars. The notes, the scratches, the fear. They'd scarred her, but so had Aisha's art, Bilal's trust, Amir's grip. Ashford wasn't theirs, not fully, but this house was. They'd fought silently with cameras, words, love, and won a piece of peace. Zara whispered to the night, "This is our story. Share it, hold it, make it yours." She imagined others, families like hers, silent but unbroken, finding strength in their stand. Willow Lane was theirs, and they'd keep it, one quiet day at a time.